Welcome back to the Center Podcast. I'm your host, Victor, along with my co-host, Mark. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you, Victor?
I'm doing good, man. I feel kind of bad because I feel like I lied to the people, so I'm still stuck in this back rooms, but it's still working on it. I promise you we're going to be getting back to it. I'm tired of being here. I'll be honest with you, but it's all good. We'll be out of here soon.
It's okay.
Yeah, man. Fortunately, I have some stuff going on, so I won't be able to, we weren't able to coordinate to get another recording done in the studio. So
But it's all good stuff. It's all good stuff. So,
Yeah.
Don't worry, everybody.
So I'll be away for a little bit. So we just want to knock this out before I head away and make sure that I don't miss any episodes. We don't miss any episodes for y'all.
Yep.
So we're just gonna do this real quick. Mark, I don't know if you've been keeping an eye on things lately. There's been some crazy developments that's happening in the world. And yeah. A lot of things, a lot of questionable things. And I honestly don't know where to start. I guess we should just address the elephant in the room because this one directly impacts us the most. How they talk about how they trying to get rid of TikTok. And like for like the 20th time, it is what it is. Like they try it like at least once a year. It's like an annual thing at this point, but this one might be legit just because for y'all that don't know, if y'all somehow don't, the US government's trying to ban it because they believe it's untrustworthy because it's made by a foreign company, even though more specifically China, even though China makes everything under the sun that we use here, they think that it's unsafe. And they are requiring ByteDance, I believe is the parent company of TikTok, to sell the entirety of the company to a US either business or person, whoever wants to buy it. That way it's safe in the American hands, for the American people.
In the American hands to see people,
Yeah, exactly.
Just see a bunch of that, probably.
So there's this whole standoff going on where they have 6 months to do so. Once it is like fully signed through, because it has to go through like 3 branches of government, essentially.
Yeah, didn't it just pass what did it pass? I think it just passed
the House.
The House, right? Okay, that's what.
And then it's going to the Senate.
Okay, now it's going to the Senate. Okay,
yeah. But it's like a difficult thing because obviously a lot of us are like, yo, don't take away TikTok. Like we rock with TikTok. And it's not an election year. So it's also like if you do some things to upset us, and a lot of us are becoming more and more involved with like the voting process, especially with an election that's coming up and the potential candidates that could be tied to that. It's kind of iffy for them. It's like, all right, cool. Like you want to do that, but like you might not have a job after this because like a lot of seats in the House and Senate are up for grabs this year as well within the voting process. They can have and then all like where you side on this is like public record. Like if you were for it or against it, but we'd be able to tell who did it, and we can make like a direct impact on whether or not they still have the job that they have in the first place. So kind of iffy. Also, it's just a bunch of BS in general. Because like, are they really doing it for safety, or is it because, like we talked about before, the whole idea of companies, paying off politicians to kind of keep their brand and their companies on lock?
Yeah.
Is this really just a security issue, or is this just Facebook, Instagram, who are owned by the same people, so basically saying like, yo, like get them out here because they hurting us. They're taking all our business. They pop and they wild. And Mark Zuckerberg's like, yo, throw a couple of dollars, get rid of them. Even though Mark Zuckerberg got found guilty of stealing our data, and there was a whole lawsuit, and he lost it, and there was no talks about banning Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, like you said, it gets a little iffy. For all we know, Mark Zuckerberg's probably gonna be the one to try to buy it, and then
and it's like that's even cornier. Like
then he'll be the one to be like naming it something around Meta and be able to do all that stuff. So it's very confusing in that sense. But it's like, the whole like whether or not are we trusting them that that's the real reason why? It's like, is it for safety? Is it because like, okay, they will have our information if there was supposed to be, in a sense, like a war that breaks out or something like that. So it's like, it's very confusing. I understand it, but I just feel like there's so many other things that we can think about that's probably more dangerous than something like an app like TikTok. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just it's just weird.
It's like at this point, if that's really the issue, we're already too far deep to even worry about that, because it's like, all right, cool, you banned TikTok. All right, but where are the phones that we have on the first place for TikTok come from? They're made over there. What about all the chips about every Toyota, Honda, Hyundai, Nissan cars coming from? All those chips are coming from Asian countries, if not China. Basically anything you can think of, especially technology-wise, is made over there. So if they wanted to control anything with a simple processor can be taken over in general. Security cameras, whatever else you may think of, unless we're starting to make a switch where we're going to produce everything in-house, what are you really trying to do here?
Exactly.
Not to mention the fact that like Temu still exists and they also got in trouble for the same idea of selling data, which I don't know how people didn't even think of this, but like I found it kind of iffy that they were selling like very expensive things for essentially a penny. And everybody's like, oh, like Temu's the best. It's like, how are they affording this? It's like, yeah, because they're taking information and selling it and making a profit that way.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Exactly.
You got a sweater for 25 cents, but now your social security is on the black web. It's on the dark web. So
yeah,
they,
very confusing.
so yeah, it's just they're not even trying to hide it at this point. They just kind of like blanket it or hide it underneath something else. And then the bill is like a billion pages long. So it's like, what else is in there? Because if it
Yeah,
was really just about that, they could just say this means that you can no longer have TikTok. And nah, they
yeah.
just
That's where I'm thinking of like, what else is it? And that's just probably brings around a lot of the stuff of like other apps and other stuff like pertaining like close around that. Because like I said, I can't just think that a lot of this is just coming from TikTok. Like there has to
yeah.
be more that goes into it. So it's like if you're really gonna get all this serious about TikTok, that's where you were saying, like, let's bring in other stuff like how Facebook was doing all this stuff. And now
Mhm.
like well, Instagram is owned by Facebook. So it's like
Still,
that
it makes
and
it even worse.
yeah, and then have anybody talked about like freaking, like yeah, like crazy to think about. I haven't heard a single thing about this man, Elon, in like a little
Yeah.
bit, and like what's happened to him. Like
I
he
mean, he
just kind of
just yeah,
he like bought Twitter, and then like after like
ruined
about a
it.
good half a year, it's just like he just got quiet now. So it is a lot of stuff. Yeah,
He essentially ruined Twitter. I mean, SpaceX is still like doing stuff. I just saw the other day they like had their first successful landing of one of their ships or something. So like
for
he's
that.
still working and doing stuff.
Yeah,
He tweets like all the time and it's like annoying. Um, but yeah, it's like
yeah,
he took Twitter and essentially like Twitter before him was like a lot better, at least in terms of like enjoyment.
mm,
But the issue with Twitter and why it got sold in the first place because it wasn't profitable because they didn't do ads. And now it's like all ads. So I guess they are making money, but like it's not as fun as it used to be. I remember every
yeah.
major event that would happen in the world, everybody would run to Twitter and just look for the jokes. Now it's like I go into any Twitter thread and you have to swipe 5 times before I get rid of like the ads and OnlyFans people that are like
Yeah,
polluting it.
it's yeah, the amount of that and bots. I mean, they said they were trying to get rid of bots, but again, like, yeah, I
How
don't
hard
know.
could it be? Same thing with Instagram. It's like I'll be, following my sports pages. It's like a lot of stuff is happening NFL free agency. A lot of people getting traded. A lot of Eagles sign a lot of people. And I have my own opinions, but I like to see the people's thoughts in the comments as well. And then it's just like, oh, like, do you think I'm pretty? Look at my story. And it's like, I don't want to see this. Like, I want to know what Russell Wilson to Pittsburgh is going to be like for some of the Pittsburgh fans.
No, sign
Um,
up. Sign
yeah.
up for 10% off of my discount code. It's like,
Check.
okay, bro.
Don't click the link in my bio, wink.
And
It's like,
don't
I
click
don't.
the link, right?
It's like,
Fuck
yeah,
on,
I'm
bro.
cool, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little weird. I guess we'll see how it progresses. It's not the first time that something like this has happened. I believe like when it first had that big wave of TikTok being big here, there was something where they asked them to sell half of it
Yeah.
to somebody in the US, and then I think Microsoft bought it. I think I could be wrong, or at least he was, or at least Bill Gates was in the running for it. I don't know if he actually did get it himself, but
Hmm.
somebody else here bought it. Now they're just asking
Okay.
them to sell the entirety of it, but it's like no.
So did they so did that happen though? Like did
Yeah,
they
that
go
happened years ago. That was like
oh.
a minute ago.
So I
Because
mean
that's
at
what I'm
that
telling you. They try to ban it every single year, and then they give them new like demands to meet. But
huh.
now I think this one's a little difficult to kind of go through with. It's like you want to see relinquish all of it, like
Yeah, yeah.
it's a little difficult.
Yeah, that is
And
very
then
difficult, I guess.
also just how great it has. It's the first. It's the biggest one that I could think of. At least I don't know who's. I think Snapchat is like American as well, but it's the first and the biggest like social media platform that I can think of. It's this powerful. I mean, it's number one right now. I would imagine that's not controlled by the U.S. or like as a U.S. owner, because even like Reddit and like all those other places, like they're still all like American owned.
Mm-hmm.
So it allows people to post without any type of suppression of information in a sense. Because at least with all the other ones, they're all owned by the same people. But
Yeah.
when there's a company that's not like influenced by like American politics or like American bias or like trying to preserve what America looks like,
Yeah.
I feel like TikTok's one of those places where a lot of information just from other countries gets spread here, and we realize how not great it is here.
Yeah.
How many times you see people from other countries post something and it's like, oh, like I live in this country or the other, and it seems great. Or even on the flip side, when you see the situation in Palestine and Israel and all the stuff that's being posted over there, like I see reporters and people that are actually there showing what's happening on the ground, and it's a lot more information that you would see otherwise on a news outlet, an American news outlet at that.
Yep, exactly. They like to suppress and hide a lot of that stuff because again, they want to not have you worry about, I guess, in a sense, the real troubles of what's happening in the world. Oh, just like get distracted about these new clothes that are coming
Yeah,
out. Do you like this stuff? Cool. Well, then let's shop some more and give us more money to then send somewhere where you don't know where it's going. And
yeah,
yeah, there's a lot of different things, but yeah, I can understand like how that's going to just how that like again, like you said, how that kind of app is from somewhere else, and you get to see more of like what's happening around us rather than just being distracted.
yeah.
In a sense, yeah.
And the comment section is not ruined yet in TikTok. It's just the people, and it's hilarious. If the comments on there are A1. The TikTok shop thing, it is what it is.
No matter what,
They have
any
to make, you have to,
shop through the app is always a
yeah,
little.
it's a little iffy. I mean, it allows people to make money. They had the creator fund at one point, but at least with the TikTok shop, it's not as in your face. It's like something that Instagram tries to do, other places try to do. And there's a whole feed that you can go to for the TikTok shop. And then there are people who can create their own videos and like tag TikTok shop stuff in it, which is like, okay,
Yeah.
whatever. Some people find it beneficial. And then there's other places that genuinely usually like small businesses, they own TikTok. They're like, hey, or like authors or like creators, they're like, hey, like
Mhm.
I wrote this book, tap this right here. It's $10. It supports me. And that's a good way for like audience to kind of reach out. So it's like a
Yeah.
beneficial way of going about it.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely for me though, like at least you're saying for you. To me, it's like, I don't know. Sometimes I always feel like after 3 swipes or whatever, I might see somebody like saying, like, yo, like try this product out. I'm just like,
Yeah.
bro, I've seen this about 2 minutes ago. Not even probably like 30 seconds ago. Like, y'all need to chill. Like,
Yeah.
I get it, So sometimes I feel like that ends up being a thing, but I like that's just again, when you like one thing on TikTok, it's
Yeah.
like expect your feed
Algorithm
to
is
be
strong.
blown out of it. Like, yeah, it's just gonna show up like 8 to 10 times now.
Yeah.
So
And it's just how it is at kind of with any social media platform, especially when money gets involved. Cause like it happens in different ways, but like Twitter, you'll see a tweet go viral and somebody will punch like a link to something underneath it. Or YouTube now, I mean, it's been around for ages, but obviously when you get a big following, they're like, oh, like this video is sponsored by this person. If you want to do this, use this code below. Like it's or Twitch and the same idea. So it's like it's just inevitable when it starts to become like a business for some people. So
yep.
yeah. We're gonna see what happens. It's not 6 months from now, it's 6 months after, or if it passes through all branches of the government to get signed on. So
Okay.
they don't this time they still have time, but we shall see. It's
Yeah.
also funny to me how like a lot of politicians also have TikTok. Like Joe Biden has a TikTok, but like they're also I think Joe Biden already says like if it passes, like I'll sign it. So yeah, we'll see how everything goes. It is what it is. If they go down, another app will rise, and it's the cycle's going to continue. I just hope that
Yeah.
it's continues to be a app from elsewhere. I
Yeah,
just hate
exactly.
how like immediately if it's something just if there's a product or anything made elsewhere, it's like automatically out to get us, as if TikTok isn't available in every country in the world for the most
Yeah.
part.
And
Or is it?
that's the thing that's weird too. Like I just think about like, do they think like that with us? Like
Yeah, like are they
like
going to
the
sell it to
apps,
us, and
like
then what? Are we
yeah,
spying on them?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like when it comes to our apps and stuff like that, that people have that from us, like, do they think the same thing or
Well,
like,
some countries ban a lot of our platforms though. I don't think
Yeah.
Facebook is a thing in certain like Asian countries for that
Yeah.
very reason of like what we sued them over or what they got sued over. And
Yeah.
there's other apps that like we have never heard of, but they're big social media platforms like in other countries.
Mm. Okay.
Um, the only one that I really know of that's not it's not really a social media platform. It's more like a WhatsApp type of thing is WeChat, but that's like WhatsApp. It's not really like a
Gotcha.
platform. But there are other like Facebook like places that exist that are like only available in those
Mhm.
regions. So they do ban some of our websites as well for that same reason.
Yeah. Oh, hey, look at that. It's very like I guess crazy to think like this is another idea of like how much like I guess behind the curtain things are with stuff like we wouldn't know these things because clearly there's so much like hidden agenda stuff or
Yeah.
just blockage of like knowledge that we know about what's going on around the world because of this whole idea of privacy, you know.
And then there's just the frustration of why so much emphasis goes into something like this when there's much bigger issues going on, and they're so quick to sign something like this, and almost in an instant it feels like there was damn near like a unanimous type of decision, if not close to it.
Yeah.
But then I wake up and I see it wasn't this week, but a couple weeks back, it was like three essentially mass shootings at three separate SEPTA bus stops in Philly. And there's no talk about like gun control or anything, not even banning, but just control. And that's just one like aspect of it in the past month I could think of, not even the countless school shootings, mass shootings, and other stuff that's happened.
Yeah.
So
and that's something that's crazy too, is because like I remember there was like a big talk about a lot of that stuff like the last like couple of years or so, that whole idea of just like the gun control and everything like that. I feel like they got something, I guess, sorted out or figured out with that, and then they just decided to say, all right, we're just gonna stop talking about it. Like
they ain't sort anything and nothing has changed. Yeah.
yeah, I mean nothing really changed, but I just know the idea that it was kind of brought up a lot because
Mhm.
like the mass shootings were like kind of like going crazy like month to month. Like it was something happening like almost every
Yeah.
month.
You
So
know,
everything was getting talked about. But then like again, they think like, okay, because like I guess there wasn't anything so crazy that happened, I guess like they're just like, like let's just stop talking about gun stuff
the only
anymore.
the
It's
only
like,
the only reason that happened was because of the pandemic.
yeah,
I remember they tried to say like when it was peak pandemic and like a year had passed, they're like, oh, like, we went 10 months without a mass shooting. It's like, yeah, because everybody's inside, dude. What are you
yeah.
talking about? Nobody has
Mhm.
been to a physical school in a year.
Yep. How are you gonna do anything when there's
Yeah.
nobody
It's like,
there?
yay, nobody got no school shootings in a year. It's a win for America. There's no need for gun control. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a clear reason.
they're all in hospitals coughing their lungs out right now, but it's okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a little weird, but
It's just the ass backwardness.
yep, yep.
Completely unrelated too, though, because I'm just thinking about how like TikTok as a platform is just, I've learned a lot just off of that app alone. Like just short videos and then me doing my own research, like expanding upon it. Kind of like YouTube, but it's just like short form. I
Uh-huh.
saw the other day when I was on TikTok, while I still can, is Bruno Mars being like $50 million in debt from one casino because he has a gambling problem. I don't know how true it is,
I can
but
see that though. You know, it's crazy.
yeah,
I can see that. He talks a lot
his
about
music,
treasure,
yeah,
55, I can see that
24
now.
karat magic in the
24,
air.
I didn't even I see it. And that's his money in the air that he's
Yeah.
throwing up.
And
Trying to
you probably don't listen to Silk Sonic, but his group Anderson .Paak, he got a song specifically talking about like being in Vegas and stuff.
Hey man.
It's like
He's
7,
doing
7, 7, because he's like, the slots.
and then he's not getting 7.
Yeah.
John says bust.
So apparently he's like going to like a super, super high roller table and like ran up like 50 mil debt from MGM casinos. But it's funny, not funny, but funny, not funny, haha, funny, weird. He has a residency in Vegas to like perform. And I believe I don't know if it's at MGM Resorts. It might be. Yeah, I'm reading it here. I have it in front of me. MGM Resorts, he does a residency there. So he performs concerts basically like every other day. And just from that deal alone, he makes like 60 million a year. And then it's like a little bit lower after taxes, I believe. But he still has to pay out of that 60 million, pay the 50 million in debt. So it's like you just basically almost working for free at that point when you think about the taxes getting pulled out of it. And then I'm sure whatever other expenses he has in his personal life. So it's like, damn, like he gonna be super really, he's gonna be performing for free for a hot minute.
I mean, yeah. I mean, but hey, like that's the responsibility and consequence you got to pay. But at that point, I mean, like if I was him, I wouldn't even be worried that much. Like, yeah, it sucks you're not getting that, like, I guess, money in a sense for doing what you're doing. But what?
If I was $50 million in debt, my stomach would be in shambles.
No, but like that's the thing you got to think about. Like for someone like us, like yeah, of course. Like, but I think like of him, like bro, this man's been famous for how long now? Like I feel like he can like still like work something up to not have to be like so stressed out about it.
Yeah.
Like that's why I'm just saying, like,
but he still has a gambling problem. So it's like,
I mean that I can't help him with,
yeah,
like Bruno
like you know
Mars,
what I
get
mean? Like
yourself together.
like how hard is it? How is he going to be able to like? I mean, I don't know what his situation is. the debt is up to like 50 mil. Oh, so he makes 90 million a year, and then after taxes, I guess he's gonna go down to like 60-ish. Um, so yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen
I
there.
feel like he could
He's
do
going that
something.
Elvis route. I mean, he's obviously is able to be paid off, but he would also have to stop like cold turkey and not get himself in this hole again, or just go to like the penny little dollar slots, bro. Get your fix that way.
Nah,
You have
nah.
you, bro. My thing is, if he really wants to do this, I mean, obviously he's like, whatever, I want to win big. But if you're making 90 million a year, 60 million after taxes, take a mill and go to the cheap slots. You're gonna hit eventually. If I put $1 in a million times, one of them gotta hit. If not, just give it up altogether.
That's true. That's true. I would say, if anything, I would say if I was him, I would make a deal with myself. I'm like, look, there's this crazy situation going right now with me. I promise this will be the last time. I'm just gonna take this 1 mil,
Yeah.
do these pennies, and if nothing is to hit, I'll just stop it altogether.
Right.
Because it's just like at that point, I'm just stressing myself out more, and I'm kind of enabling myself to like have this window open of still gambling, because the next thing you know it, I say, oh, I didn't hit that. Then you start thinking, maybe it's because I'm playing the penny slots. Maybe I should actually go onto like the bigger tables and stuff like that, actually try my luck.
Mm-hmm.
And Bulls now another 50. So
Yeah.
it's just like, I might as well just give it that one more last hurrah. If I can't do that, then all right, that was my sign. Let me just hang it up, bro. I need to just keep making music and just chill.
Yeah, no, man. I don't know. Maybe it's better that he like pays it off, finishes residency, and get out of Vegas altogether. Because it's not like it's a tour where he's moving around. It's like this is a show at the same spot like every
Same
other
place.
night. So he's living there essentially throughout the duration of it. So I'm sure between shows or whatever, he's probably, got too much time on his hands to go run off and do that. So maybe it's just a bad environment for him. It's not
Isn't
easy.
he,
Isn't
isn't
he
he
what?
like, isn't he like 5'6" or something like that?
Yeah, he's short. He's like 5'5", 5'6". I mean, look, man, his genes are Puerto Rican, Filipino, and Hawaiian. He didn't exactly get the best genes, but
Hey,
in terms of
man.
height, but in terms of everything else, though, man could
Hey,
play like a million instruments, dance his ass off, and sing his ass off. So
this is true. This is true. So he has to just work for it. Hey, maybe he's just angry and that's why he's gambling.
he wants to be a billionaire.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
man.
bro. He needs to just take notes on his own songs, bro.
um, yeah, I mean, praying for Bruno. I know you're not the biggest fan of Bruno, but I love Bruno. Hope he's
I mean,
doing
he's
well.
like I said, he's like, I appreciate and applaud him for the type of musician he is. Like he's just blessed in that way. I just feel like a lot of his music now just don't hit the same as it used to.
Tripping.
I just don't.
Anyways,
It's just me. Just
you
don't.
gotta you gotta go help him out with this gambling addiction. It's interesting to see though, because I technically like work in this industry and I see people struggle with this like every day. Like I talk to people who deal with this thing every day. And it's crazy how like deep people get into it. And it's gonna be interesting to see how many people in the future get afflicted with the same thing, especially like being in a casino is one thing. But now since because the internet has evolved so much where you can basically talk to a real dealer and do all this face stuff and like have somebody in real life do it over the internet from your phone or from your computer, and people do it all day every day. And then there's another part of it where there's sports gambling, and that's in your pocket at all times. People do like Prize Picks and DraftKings and
Yep.
FanDuel. So it's fun. It's going to be weird to see like what celebrities fall victim to that, because it is a vice at the end of the day when you think about it. And then you see old heads in the actual casinos 2 centimeters from the screen pulling the lever a million times and like peeing on themselves and wearing diapers. Like that's like a real thing that people do because they don't want to leave their seat. And then they end up losing every time, or they break even. So they just sat there and peed in themselves and wasted money on drinks the whole time.
Wouldn't be me. I'll be like, look, I got this like $5. This is all I'm using tonight. If not, I'm gonna walk out.
I just don't get the appeal between that and like the lottery and scratch offs and all that stuff, and seeing like just old like my own family members using the pass or like being. I just can't do it.
I'll be talking smack with my man's Gus. All right.
Listen, like they try to make Gus look all cute. He low key a drug dealer when you think about it.
But we're just showing up to everybody's crib.
Yeah,
Just coming out the trash can. Like,
he said, keep on scratching.
right? What are you scratching? Exactly.
Yeah.
Get out of my house.
First off, he failed as a weatherman, so now he trying to make the money back by screwing everybody over with scratch offs.
This is true. Yep. You always trying to get somebody to scratch off something, and then was always wearing like a button-up shirt. Like he's always wearing like some type of like vacation shit.
Yeah. And then he cheap too because he been running the same 3 commercials for 20 years. I bet he don't pay his actors. It's like this holiday season get to me. Said 5 cash 5s.
Just pulls him out. Bull pulls him out of his back pocket, which he doesn't have.
Yeah. Like, no pants either. That's how you know his gambling addiction is bad.
Bro, he don't got no money for nothing. Got the same shirts he recycles.
You gonna see. Nah, you know it's gonna be. Hopefully, he could pay this stuff off. Because I would hate to see him in some random like, when people go like actors and like musicians go broke and they start doing like any commercial.
Yeah,
I don't want to see that out of him. I see that like even at work.
I can see it low key though.
I mean, I don't want to is what I mean, but like I see it all the time when I'm at work. Because there's some for like I guess actors that get older, they start doing like medicine commercials because they are older. I forget which one it was. It makes no sense to me. But what show is Ice-T on? It's like a crime show.
I don't know if it's CSI or
one of them, right? There's like 5 different versions of CSI.
I'm
but
at this point, I'm just saying letters in random order.
Yeah, the one that he's on, him and like a cast member are on like a car windshield commercial or something like that, or like a car insurance one. But they make it seem like it's a crime case thing. He's walking around the garage. It just makes no sense. I'm like, Ice-T, what are we doing? Like, you're supposed to be like a legend in this. I like the one he did years ago. It was like it's not Ice-T, it's lemonade or whatever. Or it's not lemonade, it's iced tea or something like that. I like that one. That one's funny.
Yeah, you really do notice some of these actors doing that too. Some of them though, it's like when you see it, it's like you can think in the back of your head, like, oh, this is kind of what they resorted to. But sometimes I just think of it as just like, hey, like maybe they were just like pitched the idea and they were just like, well, why not? Like, something so simple, quick, like that's all we're gonna do. And then a lot of the times they might just get like, I guess in a sense, I wouldn't want to use the word used, but sometimes it's like a long-term thing where who knows, like maybe for like a whole year or a whole season of what they're planning on to do with this thing. That's just the same act they're doing. Kind of like how Jake from State Farm, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, but he a little different. I also like, I love how it's like that one white guy, and then they had like 7 different ones since then. But then they found this one guy who used to be on BuzzFeed. It's like his whole thing now. The guy who does it now, he used to be on BuzzFeed.
Oh, okay.
The YouTube channel.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if you get picked to just use it, do like something all the time consistently, I'm just like, who cares? Like, I'll do it.
Yeah, but that's his thing. You know what I mean? It's different for like Ice-T. Like that's not like car commercials. Not his thing. I mean, it was music. And then obviously he did that CSI show, and he did that one line. I don't know if you ever seen it before, where it's like a crime, like a criminal. He's like, oh, like I'm not gay. I'm in relationships with women, but I like kiss men. And Ice-T is like, I got news for you. That means you're gay.
Yo, I feel like I do remember that, but I don't know what it looks like. That's hilarious.
Yeah. The only person I want to see in like a billion commercials is Shaq. That's the only one that makes sense to me at this point.
He's earned it. I feel like I talked about this before. And I said there has to be kind of like this council of like guys who are in commercials and like who's like the head of it. Like, and I feel like Shaq is definitely the leader.
He's definitely a member of the board.
Yeah, like he's the leader. And it's kind of like you gotta have this kind of like what's the word? I mean, just like initiation to get in. You can't just be anybody and get your first commercial and be like, I want to join. It's like, now you go through the whole council. Everybody has to approve of it. Shaq being the leader, like, so there's some things.
He unlocked, he found that niche and he just ran with it because this man's name is on everything.
Hey, bro, printers, icy hot, insurance. Like none of those correlate.
Pizza.
None of those correlate at all.
Pizza, like, printers.
Like what? It's like how? But hey, man, he's found it. So let him cook.
Literally. And then what was it? Oh, I think he owns like part of Reebok now, and he hired like AI, like Allen Iverson, to be like a president of it or something.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, that was like a couple months ago. So that's cool to see.
Yeah,
Shaq, good guy.
He is.
He's a man. Everybody kept coming at him recently though, because he was talking about how he's like lonely and stuff because he screwed around too much. Everybody's like, yeah, dummy. It's like, yo, he's been talking about this for years. Like he says it as like advice to young people or like young athletes because he's been married a bunch of times. He like got caught cheating a bunch of times. Now he's remarried, remarried and then got divorced again. But he's like, yo, like I work so much because I'm like low key lonely, bro. Like I do all these commercials and I do TNT for the best, like for the NBA. I just stay working. I do my DJ stuff. He don't even make money off the DJ stuff. He like pays for all his own shows and he just like has fun with it.
Yeah. Hey, my advice to you, Shaq, maybe you just need to take some time for yourself. Just sit back, enjoy what you got going on in life, visit some places, just
Mm-hmm.
get more into vision of who is Shaq.
He's gotta get his lady. He gotta find his one lady and
Exactly.
stick with it.
Exactly. Who is Shaq? What is
Because
Shaq gonna do for you?
he already got his kids. They all old enough to play ball, whatever. So
Exactly. So just chill out.
interesting stuff. Then lastly, I guess I should bring this up, even though I'm not flying on this. You know how we talked about in the past, there was like an Alaskan airline flight that like a chunk of it just like flew out.
Mm.
So since then, there's been like a billion different situations like that where like,
I seen something like a plane like disappeared or something like that.
oh, I didn't see that.
You didn't
I mean,
see that?
that happened a couple years ago.
I
I don't know
didn't
if that went.
I didn't like see the whole story. It could have just been one of those things where they said something like that as like something to like because it was something that was coming up in like the news or whatever. Like they're like, oh,
You're
and
scaring me.
it was it was like stay tuned to hear about a flight who that got like that disappeared or something. But it was again like it could have just been out of context where like she was just saying that to kind of like let you know
Mm-hmm.
to stay tuned, don't go away. But it probably was just like actually really what was going on is just that like it disappeared from the radar because it was probably some connection error and
Mm-hmm.
then we ended up finding it, but it didn't actually disappear. So I don't remember exactly all of it, but it was something around those lines where something like a plane, I guess, like probably lost contact for like a little bit and probably got found again. So
Yeah,
I
there
thought
was
that's where you were going, but keep going.
yeah, no, there was one. I think it took off from Oregon and was flying to California, or it might have been somewhere else, but somewhere on the West Coast where, and as soon as it took off, like one of the landing wheels fell and just like
Mm.
it tore up a bunch of cars in the parking lot.
So
Yeah,
like it flew over and then fell off.
yeah. So like it took off the ground, and as it was still ascending, one of the like the landing wheels or like the takeoff wheels, I guess, just fell out and then just bounced in the parking lot and like took out like 25 cars.
Yo, that's crazy, bro.
Yeah, but it's all the same model of cars, a Boeing 737. And
Mm.
it's like the biggest, the US is biggest and the world's biggest like plane manufacturer. It's like all the really big ones.
Mm.
A lot of the American airlines use them. I'm not flying it on like a US airline since I'm going overseas. So I checked, trust me, when I saw that, I was like, I checked it out.
There you
But
go.
since all that stuff has been happening, they've been like getting a lot of lawsuits and there's been a lot of them going on. And I don't know if you heard about this, but there was somebody who used to work for them in their plants for like 20 years. And during their court case, he got asked to sit on the stand. He basically like told and said everything. Like he said, the conditions of like the factories and like where their processes were, that they found if anything was defective, that they'll just like, instead of fixing it, they'll just pull like old parts out of like a broken pile and just like slap it on the plane, which is like causing a lot of these issues and why this stuff is happening, especially like recently, how it's been like at least once a month. So yeah, he like quit and like after he did his like court thing on the stands, he said all of this. He drove home to his hotel and he was supposed to appear again to like continue his, I don't know what it's called, but like just his saying what he has to say. He died at his hotel after he did that testimony. Apparently, they're saying that he unalived himself after that.
This world is so scary and dangerous, bro.
So they're saying it was a self inflicted wound.
This is
Um,
did they say how he
it says self inflicted wound. He was found in his hotel room, 62-year-old, on March 9th. Doesn't really say if it was a bullet or anything like that, but yeah, it was like immediately after he did the whole thing in court. And he's spoken about it a bunch of times, basically trying to expose everything. And yeah, he retired in 2017. That's what I'm seeing. So yeah, I guess they called him back to speak about it, and that's what happened. That apparently the work conditions were terrible, and they were just like under a lot of pressure, and they just weren't going about things the right way. Um, so yeah, I'm here to say wasn't self-inflicted. Just gonna put that out there. Just be very clear here. Definitely wasn't self-inflicted. What other reason would there be for that?
Yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah. no,
You think he did it to himself?
no. Heck no. I mean, like, bro, that's just too much of a coincidence, bro. Like,
Yeah.
right? Like, how do you go to your hotel room and then that's when something happens? Like, that's just so weird. And then like this is like I was gonna bring up. This is why I would never want to work for like such a big company like that. Like a big company meaning like a company that's like used for a general of like everything. Like
Hmm.
everybody uses this thing. Like say if I was to work for the company that owns Google, like
Yeah,
that's considered like a big company because everything in a sense is outsourced from that one place. So it's like I would not want to work for that place because
yeah,
imagine if I was to say something about them, like I'm done. Like
exactly.
so
Or like even think like in a similar line, like a car company. Like it's like you work for Toyota and you're in charge of like how they make all their cars. And then you just
exactly.
have to sit on the stand and tell them like, yeah, like they don't be checking brakes. Like they just
I'm
be
checking
putting them on the car.
brakes. Their airbags actually don't work like the
Yeah,
way they're
yeah.
supposed to. Like, yeah, no,
Then you're done.
I'm getting cut, bro. I'll be like, look, guys, I'm gonna just say my P. You'll know that that's gonna happen when I'm like, yo, guys, let's just have like one last hurrah tonight. You know, like, you're like, Mark, what's going on? Just let's just all come out, guys.
Yeah.
Please, please come out because you're not gonna see me the next 24 hours. Yeah. So that's where I'll be like, yeah, I could never work for a company like that. Like something could be, I could work for a big company, but not something that big because that's like
Yeah.
scary. Like,
Where you're essentially so in charge of like so many lives every day and a lot of
like,
money. But
yeah, like
yeah,
especially what it's based around too. Like, yeah, that's just insane. So I would never want to do that. And I mean, like again, he had his life. I mean, he was. I'll say he was still young enough to be able to
yeah.
still see a lot going on in the world. And for that to happen, like, yeah, come on now, little strange,
He
little
was
strange.
found. He was found dead in his truck in the hotel parking lot.
Hmm.
He didn't even make it to the room.
Yeah, like that's so weird.
Somebody pulled up in the back seat. Was like, drive.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, because like, how does that happen? Like, that's why I need more information. Like, what was it
We ain't
from?
gonna get
Like,
it, buddy.
that's what I'm saying. Like, and then that makes it even weirder. Like, how are you not going to give us that information? Like, something like that is so easy to find out, yet you're not going to give it to us. I can understand if it was like something in the hotel, something where there was like different like DNA found somewhere, something where there was like multiple cameras and I saw his location at different places. Like, that is where I can understand. Okay, we're probably not going to get a clear answer, but like, you mean to tell me Bull's in the parking lot in his truck and that's where he's dead? That's it. Okay, like there's more to that. Like
Makes
you're not
sense.
just gonna
Nope.
end it. You're
He
not
just
just gonna end it.
he was just really tired after that time at the in the court, and he said he had to say those are his last words, and he said that was it.
The only thing I could think is that like at some point in his career, because like I said, a big company, the his insurance and the people they probably use for like medical stuff and doctors, they probably planted a chip or something in him. They were like, as soon as you say something, press the button and you're just dead.
Yeah, yeah.
Like just end his life. So I'm like, that's the only thing I could think of, but there's no way unless there's no way unless
Allegedly, allegedly.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
that's just
So
wild. That's
we'll
wild.
just, we'll just leave that there before we end up in a hotel parking lot. Um,
That's you.
nah,
That's
you agreed. We in this
I
together.
agree, but I got no reason to be at a hotel recently.
Yeah.
So that's
Oh,
if
true,
I'm
true,
saying
true.
that's you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, we're gonna hop up out of here before we say anything else. We appreciate all the love and we enjoyed this episode. Question everything, do your research, and we'll see you guys next time.